Today we are talking about the 2016 movie Face of Evil. This one is written and directed by Vito Dinatolo. He's Italian, I hope I've pronounced that correctly. This movie was made in 2016 but has had a release date in the US of the 19th of June this year, 2018. The movie stars Scott Baxter, Chad Bishop, Janet Roth and most notably Jamie Bernadette. Jamie is now being called the new face of horror. She has popped up in a lot of movies that you might recognise. American Satan, the 420 Massacre, and she's actually at the moment, there's a 5th instalment of I Spit on Your Grave coming out called Deja Vu. She's going to be in that one also. This movie is put across as a horror. We follow Jay, the main protagonist of the movie, who is a vet who has come home from war in the Middle East. He gets home to his house with his sister, who's played by Jamie Bernadette, and his friends, who are all pretty annoying, irritating, disrespectful, just really irritating. Maybe I'm getting old, but the house is in a bit of a mess. It's quite an extended scene with nothing much happening apart from like really irritating teenagers / young adults. They don't follow the entire story all the way through, so we don't have to tolerate them for too long in the movie. They just are part of the early story in the party in Jay's house. So things take a move when a kind of epidemic, for want of a better word, breaks out. We have scenes quite reminiscent of a zombie movie. We don't know what's happened, we don't know why, all we know is that pandemonium has broken out. Someone is distributing these symptoms and this very quickly spreads amongst the people at the house. Now the movie obviously deals with Jay trying to save himself, trying to figure out what's going on, and somewhere before the middle part of this movie we get the other main lead, the other main male star in this movie, played by Chad Bishop. Now, I love this guy. I also really did like Scott Baxter, who played Jay, but this other guy, if you're a fan of Supernatural, the TV show, and you like the character of Dean, who I personally love, I love him. He's got that sort of like charm and the over-exuberance and the cheese factor. This guy, Chad Bishop, reminded me of Dean from Supernatural so much. He plays Jay's ex-sergeant from the army, and he's really OTT. He's got just this funny, really like alpha male personality with a bit of cheese injected, and he's got some really funny, corny lines, but you really get the impression that these lines were delivered this way intentionally. It doesn't take itself too seriously. The director does seem to be attempting at points within the movie to inject a bit of humour in there, a bit of light relief, and that is welcome. I enjoyed that. The movie takes a really odd change in the middle. It starts off very much planted firmly in the horror genre, but as the movie continues I felt it turned much more into a psychological thriller. We switched scene completely from the house at the beginning, and we're out on the road all of a sudden with Jay and Sarge. He's referred to as Sarge. These two are out on the road in their car trying to figure out what's going on. Sarge has some answers for Jay. I won't go into any detail, but he sort of lets him know what might be happening. And the rest of the movie follows them on the road and various different people they encounter in different places they go. I don't want to say any more. We do get a satisfactory conclusion as to what had been going on, what's happening. All our questions are answered. It's not something as you're watching it that you're 100% sure. It's one of those movies where you're guessing. I think it's this, no, but what if it's this? And you're never 100% sure until it's spelled out for you right at the end. There's one scene, and I read up a bit about the movie afterwards and it really amused me. This movie is done in quite a low budget. It's a nice little indie movie, and in one scene they used a petrol station, a filling station, and they asked permission and weren't allowed to use the station, but what they did was they had a crew member go in and distract whoever worked in the store while two of them were outside, and they did the entire scene in 5 minutes, and got away really quickly, and the scene turned out really, really well. But just little ingenious ways of doing things and slotting it together. There's some cinematography, the way some of it's shot I really enjoyed. Some real different, there's like a shot where the camera is mounted on the front of the car, but just where it's mounted and the angle that it's mounted, where you can just see a certain section of the front of the car and where it's going, and I just thought it was incredibly well shot, nicely shot. The lighting was really nice. It was just nice to watch. It's one of those things you watch and you think, oh, that's really nice. I like that shot. That looks really good. That's really effective. This movie is low budget. Do not expect massive special effects. Don't expect a big budget. Don't expect a big production, because none of those things are in here. But it's very well shot. There is really innovative thinking here. There are ways of doing things that perhaps haven't been done before. It's something that I sat down and enjoyed. It's not something that's like gonna blow you away with how magnificent it is, but it is an entertaining watch. It is something I think if you watch you enjoy. It is something that I think you would watch more than once, because I certainly enjoyed it. And I would like to watch it more than once now that I know what's gone on. And from the start, I can sort of pay attention maybe to different things that I didn't so much the first time. The performances within this of the two lead actors, the male actors, Scott Baxter and Chad Bishop, fantastic. I cannot fault either of them. They're really, really, really solid acting. As I say, I specifically loved Chad Bishop's character in this. It was such a lot of fun. Jamie Bernadette, the one that's in, she's so busy, she's in so many horrors at the minute. She's not in this very much at all, I will warn you. She's in it at the start, at the party with the friends, but the main crux of the movie is the two guys that we have in this. The rest, not so much. She does come into it again later in the movie, but she's not a main star all the way through, so just to warn you if you're watching it just for that reason. Her performance is really solid as well, she's really good. The other actors, personally, not so much, but because they're not in there that much, it's not really frustratingly aggravating. There's just bits and pieces that really you do find yourself thinking, oh dear, that acting is horrible. I can tell what they were going for, but it's not working. There's one specific character, IMDb don't have them listed with names, so it was really, or with pictures, so it was really hard to pick out different characters, but there was one specific male character at the start that seemed to be aiming for the character in Scream, played by Matthew Lillard? You know, the one, the really funny, zany one, and he seemed to be going for that, but it just was not working. That's my main criticism about the movie. Some of the characters right at the start weren't believable, did appear to be overacting a bit, but they weren't main stars. We didn't have to watch them for very long, so I sort of even feel bad saying that. But the main stars I loved. I thought it was fun, I thought it was different. I thought I loved how the storyline completely changed, almost changed genres right in the middle from horror to psychological thriller. But the main thing that has to be said about this movie is it deals with a lot of things which are very clear that it's dealing with throughout. One of the main things it deals with is PTSD of soldiers coming home from war. The sort of paranoia, how it changes how they think, their brain. It deals with the whole subject of Big Brother's watching you, of the government. There's just a lot of political commentary running underneath the story on top. It's not, you're not bashed over the head with it by any stretch of the imagination. It's not a case of we want to get our political message through. It's not that way. But it does deal with those sort of subjects as well as just being an entertaining, enjoyable film. These do run underneath it. I've written some down, so conspiracy theories. There's mentions of like mass shootings, which is obviously at the minute really, really current and something people worry about a lot in this day and age. Terrorism's, you know, a big part of sort of the underlying theme of it. But PTSD, I would say, for me, was the main emphasis that I took from the character of Jay. I felt he portrayed it very well. Yeah, so I thought Jay did a really, the actor, Scott Baxter playing Jay, I thought he did a really good job representing a young veteran coming home from war, how his mind is affected, just everything I think that the director was trying to do, I do feel he was successful with. I do feel this is a fun movie. I feel that it deals with a lot of other things. Sometimes when certain movies try to like ram a political point home to you, you find yourself switching off, even if it's something that you personally agree with. You don't watch movies to have someone hammer their political viewpoint down your throat. You want to be entertained. I feel this film did entertain while having an underlying theme running through there that you could pick up on, and perhaps if you didn't want to pick up on, you wouldn't pick up on. But I don't feel that it did the story any damage by introducing these themes. I think they're very important themes to introduce. I enjoyed the movie overall. If I had to give this one a score out of 10, I would go with a good solid 6 for this movie. I've maybe said before, with me, for me to give anything an 8+, it has to be, you're talking Silence of the Lambs, The Shining sort of territory. For me, 6 is a good solid score, so yeah, I will give Fates of Evil 6 out of 10. Have any of you seen it? Does it sound like something you might quite enjoy? Let me know your thoughts below in the comments.